So, list is actually what we call it as a collection of variables. Okay. So, in previous session, we saw we able to create some variable like this. Then we stored one value to it, right? So, but in case of list, we would able to store collection of elements to it like this. We have one, two, three, totally three elements are there. So, right. So when you want to store multiple values around a single variable, the list is used in Python. Okay. So how to define a list is like syntax for list is you have to create a variable similar to this, but it is represented by open bracket and close bracket, and the value will be denoted separated by comma. Okay. So this is a separator and the denoter is open bracket and close bracket. This is a syntax for it. Okay. So why we cannot call that as collection is like most of our variable have one value to them. So since we are putting it into multiple values, this is called as like x can be assigned again as x here, right? So that is the reason the older value will be written here. Okay, so this is the reason why it is not as called as collection and it is called as list actually. But usually it is similar to how array works. Okay. Then other thing is like list, as we already told, it will have the square bracket inside it and it is separated by commas. Okay. So this is a open bracket, close bracket, and it will be separated by commas. And whatever the values in between, the index will always starts from 0 and it will goes up to n plus 1. Okay, this is about the list. And list element can be another list also. So what this means is, so if you have a list value, okay, so list can also hold a list. That means, so here the first index is has a 0 value. So inside this I have another list also. List can hold and another list also. This list also can contain another list. Okay, it is like infinity loop. Okay, you can have a list inside list, list inside list, list inside list. Like there can be a list, inside that you can have a dictionary or a tuple, whatever you wish that can be created. So one of the example is like this: you can have a list inside a list, you can have another list, and list can be empty also. Okay, the list can go with empty dictionary also, but that is also called as a list. Okay. So where we already use a list is like, for example, if we want to iterate through values, so a list can be used. Okay, so how, for example, how this code can be written in for loop is like for I in there is a range. Okay, there is a range function in Python. So it goes from 1 to 5, right? So this holds a list of values like 1 to 5. So what happens if we use a for loop in the list? So for loop, it is not covered, but understand it will hold go in this way. Okay. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So because it holds 5 values into it. Okay. Then other part of list is like we can able to use for loop to verify the list also. For example, we created a list like this as a friends. Okay, so this is first index, second index, third index. The list always starts with 0th index, but if you measure the length of this friends, right, it is equal to 3. Because length always starts with 1, index means always starts with 0, the length always starts with 1. Okay, so this is 1, 2, 3 in case of length. In case of index, it starts with 0. Okay, so this is again a point that needs to be noted. This point I will come to later. Okay, the same thing we have defined here. So list always starts with index 0, then goes to 2. Then comes how we can access the list. Okay, so we can access the list value by indexing it. So we have created a friends here. So Joseph is 0, Glenn is 1, Sally is 2. If you want to index it, so call this friends, then pass a square bracket, and if you give us 1, then Glenn will come. Okay, so this is the way you can able to access this element. Okay, so if you do this, this first element will get printed. Okay, so this way you can able to access the element in the list. Okay, then most important point is list are mutable. Mutable means where we able to change, update the values of the list once it is created. Okay, so that is called mutable. In case immutable means once you define a variable and if you are unable to update that later. For example, if we are defining a variable like this, okay, as 10. When you update, if you want to update this value a again, then that is mutable where the data type can be changed. So list is also a kind of mutable where this 10 can be changed later here. How? So you have to access this 0th access. Then if you give the new value, then the 11 will get updated here. Okay. But immutable means once it is defined, it cannot be updated later. Okay. So that what. So the one of the example is like here fruit is equal to banana is given. So in this case, b got updated into small b. So it throws an error because uh, string object cannot support assignment of the operation. Okay, this is an immutable type. If you want to do this as an updation, then it has to be converted into a list and that can be performed okay later. So the another thing is like we have a list created like 2, 14, 26, 41, 63. So now if we go to index, so this is index 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So Lotto, then 2 is 26, right? So 26 we change it to 28. So then this list will get updated to 28 because we updated the value here. Okay. So this way we can update a value in list also. How long list? Okay. So to know the length of the list, so there is a default function. So for example, you have to define, you created a list here. To know the how many values are present in it, there is a function called length. Then you have to pass the value inside it. So this way, this will give the length of the character, right? So it will start from 1 and goes to 9. Okay. So this is in case of length. Length always starts with 1. But in case of list, so this comma separator makes value. Even if there is a 3 elements in it, so only this comma separator will be considered. 1, 2, 3, 4 will be considered. But in case of string, all the elements will be considered. Okay, it will be starts from 1 to 9. In case of length in the list, it will go take with this comma separated values. Okay. Any questions so far? Any questions so far? Any questions? Please put in chat box or any questions? Uh, Arul, can you unmute and ask your question? I didn't get your question.
Sir, sir,
Yeah.
லிஸ்ட்ல வந்து
Yeah. What is your question?
சார் லிஸ்ட்ல ஒன்லி யூஸ் தென் லெட்டர்ஸ் கவுண்ட் சார் சார்
See, okay. So I'm creating a string. Okay. Hello. So if hold on, the len of a is 5. Okay. So here length function is used to count the total number of characters present in the word. Okay, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. But list always starts with 1, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 came, right? So again, I will create another list here. So we can use the same length function. I will add the same hello here. So now also it shows 5. Because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 elements are there. So in list, it is used to count the number of values inside the list, okay, based on the comma separated. But in a string, it is used to count how many characters are present in the word. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
The output of length function is always numbers, okay. Okay, so there is something called range operation in Python. Okay, so what this range operation does is, if you want to create a value up to 100, okay, so this will create a value from 0 to 100 by default. Okay, so if you want to create by 5 to 100, it will create. So if you want to increase by 5, it will do this. Okay, this is like start index, then end index, and the increment index. Okay, so, so this the output of this will be list. So we can verify this with help of print I. Okay. So I 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So all this will get incremented by 5. So this is a range function in Python. So what it does is like so first is start index, then end index, then increment index. If you didn't give the increment index, by default it will increase by 1. Okay, so this is the range function. So range function is used to which always returns a list. Okay, so this can be printed if you want to see one by one, you can do like this, or print the function directly. Okay, so it will give us a range, but obviously it should give us a list. In Python too, it was like this. So if you want to print and see the values of it, so previously we have used a foreign loop. So similarly, this can be used to access it. So assume range is a function which is used to create a number. It starts from the target start index to the end index and the increment operator. 3 parameters in this. Okay. Uh, then the length I have explained, it is 1, 2, 3. Length always starts from 1. Then the index always starts from 0 to n plus 1. So the n minus 1, n plus 1 will be this last index. Okay. So this part, okay. So this part, for when going with for loop, I will come to here, and we'll see the concatenation. So concatenation is nothing but addition of two list variables. So here there is a list called A, here there is a list called B. So if you add this list, you will not get an output like, for example, I have list like 1, 2, 3 here, right? So another list is like plus 4, 5, 6. So if you add this list, don't assume like this will go like this. Okay, so what it does is it will create a single list. Okay, so it will create 1 2 6 directly. It will not add this two values, it will not add this two values. Okay, so if you add two lists, a single list will be get formed. Okay, so that is a rule. Okay, if you add two lists using the plus operator, another single list will get created. Okay, so this is concatenation in the list. So for example, I have created a list of 1. Then so okay, you can define a variable in single line also, like A, B, C. Three variables you can declare, then you can have three list, 4. Okay, so this way, this is called multi-variable declaration in a single line. Instead of multiple lines, you can declare in one line. Then if I do A, B, C, so I will have a single list. Okay, so all this will get removed and it will concatenate into a single list. So I have used a plus operator here. Okay. The next is like slicing in list. So slicing means accessing the variables in a list. Okay. So we'll take this same example. Whenever doing slicing, assume it is an index. Okay. So I will write the index to know make it proper. 3, 4, 5. Okay. Okay. So uh, So when you use, so how we can slice a single element we have saw. Okay, so if I want to get this 9, there is negative indexing. Okay, so this is positive indexing. Negative index means -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6. Either you can do negative index. So here the scale will go this way in minus when you access from bottom to right. So, or if you start from the starting, it will be 0. If you start from this side, it will be minus. You can do any side, that's not an issue. Okay, so if I want to access the 41, if I want to get 41, I can get it with respect to, I have to access t, then 41. Okay, so this will give me the, not the 41, I have to give us 1. So this will give the 41. Any questions? Someone trying to talk? Okay. So if I give the index as 1, so I will get the 41, right? So I want to get the sequence of elements like 1, 2, 3 I need. That means, so you can give the same t, then I need from 41 to 3. That means 1 is to 3. Okay. So if you give 1 is to 3, the last element will not get included. The previous element will come. Only 41 and 42. If you need 3, so you have to give us 4 here. So this way we can able to get the access. So if you give 4 as here, right, all the elements before until 4, whatever is until 4 will get printed here. So this is a colon which is used in this way between start value and end value also it can be used, or it can be used to access the sequence of previous values. Also, if you give like this, so it will say from 3 index to the end index it will get printed. Okay, if you use this way, so if you use this way it is previous, if you use this way this is this side, it is like left right only. Okay, just if you give the int, just the colon, it will take all the values to it. So this is one of the important concept in lists, which is called slicing. Any questions in slicing? So same way you can use negative index. Okay, so I will come in negative index later, but make sure there is something called positive index and negative index. Okay, so to know the type of the class of, if you create a list value and check the type of it, it will be class list. And we have a certain operation in list. One is list, append, count, extend, index, insert, pop, remove, reverse, sort. I will explain all these operations in one by one. So in the list, right, when you create a list, you can perform all this operation which are previously written in Python. Okay, so we will see that part. Uh, we'll start with a list and try to append some value to it. Okay, so I will create a list here. A is equal to 10. So this is a variable. So I will create a list. Then I will append, so we'll print this list A. Then I will try to append a value 20. So if I print this list again, so it will have 10 and 20. So that means in a list, so I can add a value to the previous list, that is called as append. Okay. So when you add a, value to the existing list, so this append function get used. Okay. So here if you see, so either you can create a list by this way, or you can mention as list and open bracket, close bracket. That will also return the same thing. So either you can do this. So here what they created an empty list and added book and 99. So if they print it, then it shows book and 99. So then again they appended a cookie to it. So cookie comes here. Okay. So index is 0, 1, 2. The same order will be persisted in the list. Okay. So to check if any value is present in a list. Okay. So for example, this is my list again. I'm taking the A list. I just want to check there in a real scenario, right? We will have thousands of datas in the list, right? So thousands of datas will be in the list. So it is not easy to check like each conditions, like you have to use a for loop and check one by one. Instead of that, you can check one in A. Sorry. So this will return true or false. In case this can be used in condition statement and perform the operation later. So this is a straightforward way you can check. In case if it is present, it will return a true or false. So the Boolean operations will be captured. This will not modify any outputs in the list. It will just check the value given is present in the list. Okay. Instead of going with for loop and checking one by one, this can be executed straightforwardly. Okay. Then other thing is how to sort the list. Okay, so sorting means sorting from ascending to descending or descending to ascending. All this can be done in list using sort function. So how that can be done is we'll start with a simple number. So it will work for both numbers and strings. Okay, so I will create something like this. Then I will perform a dot sort. So if you see it gets sorted. So this is straightforward of sorting. If you know data structures and algorithm, there are certain algorithms to sort it like bubble sort and all. But in Python, you have a default function which can perform the sortings. Okay, so it will go for numbers also. It will go for strings also. Okay, if you go with strings, it will go from alphabetical order A to Z order using the function called sort. Okay, so this is about sort, and list has certain built-in functions inside it. So length we have already seen. Okay, it will return the total number of values present in one. The length always starts with one here. Okay, so while slicing, assume it starts with 0 as an index, but length always starts with 1. So we have other functions called min, max, sum also. So length means it will return how many elements are present in the list. So list and array are common only. So in maybe if you are other language, it is called as array, but here it is called as list in Python. So the maximum returns what is the maximum number of value which is present. So minimum, you know, sum means it will sum all the list. Okay, and give the value of it. Okay, so this is sum. These are the built-in functions which is present in the list already. Okay. So what you usually do if you want to sum a variable, right? You have to write a for loop and put a counter there and do one by one of list, right? So in case of Python, you can directly use it and